Let me thank the EOA for inviting me to address you today for the presentation of the policy recommendations of the Inspireurope project. I became aware of the Inspireurope project a year and a half ago, and I'm very impressed by the work, particularly because it's such an important topic with many political pitfalls. The project has shown that action is needed, but has managed to do so with a sense of realism to what is possible. Due to your work, it's clear to me that we need action now to offer better support to researchers at risk. We have seen that many political statements committing to academic freedom have been made globally, but we need more action. Words are not enough from my point of view. Your work gives us a solid base to take action with regards to researchers at risk. Please allow me a short reflection on your policy recommendations. Regarding your recommendation for dedicated programs to support researchers at risk, you have my full support on this subject. Not only for establishing a permanent program, but also for the emergency actions for Ukraine researchers announced by the Commissioner recently. I have full confidence in your most excellent work to make the most of that emerging action. Beyond the emergency, it's my goal to have established a dedicated European fellowship scheme by the end of this parliamentary term. I will encourage member states whenever I can to set up national programs as well. These schemes should fully consider the complexity of each individual application, and in particular for the fact that researchers at risk face several interrelated challenges, as you point out in your recommendations. However, even in your recommendations, I did not find a clear operationalization of how this would work. How do we in practice include these considerations in an award procedure? Or does it simply mean that we need to create the legal possibility to cover some costs that would normally not be covered by research funds? Regarding your recommendations to make Horizon Europe more accessible for researchers at risk, you recommended some tweaking of the implementation of the ERC and Marie Curie. I did not see any reason why we should not do that, as long as the programs stay true to their original objectives of support excellent researchers. Should the Commission see any issues in the legal text of Horizon that prevent it from following these implementation recommendations, I would be happy to discuss how we can fix that. You also have two recommendations that go beyond the academic sector. We rightly point out that if we want truly welcome these researchers at risk, they need support to settle in their new place of work. Here the European role is somewhat limited, and I don't think research funds should be used to this end, as we need all research funding to go to research, to the research programs. However, there could be a role for the European regional funds. Lastly, the issues of visa. That is always a tough topic in the EU. As we have seen in the last few months, Europe can be very welcoming to researchers at risk. However, it should not have to take a war from the member states to establish procedures that fit the situation of researchers at risk. The Parliament has a role to play in ensure the proper implementations of the Students and Researchers Directive. I will engage with my colleagues in the relevant committees to get this topic on the agenda of the Parliament. In short, thank you very much for this excellent work and for your continued engagement. Without your efforts and expertise, we will not be able to put in place the policies we need to make Europe a safe haven for researchers at risk. And I believe that if we cannot do this, the European project is falling. Academic freedom is at the very heart of the European project. The 20th century of Europe showed how devastating the consequences can be when academic, intellectual and cultural dissent is oppressed. The EU exists to let this never happen again. In the last decade or so, we have been failing there. We have been complacent with regards to academic freedom, and that has to stop. The EU needs to protect academic freedom and as such take a moral responsibility of being a safe haven for researchers at risk. I'm looking forward to our continued cooperation to turn this political statement into real policies. And yet again, thank you for the effort, and we fight united.